Namaskar. We will be now discussing the part 2 of Nature and Scope of Indian Philosophy. The term darshana is used for philosophy in India. It may stand for a philosophical view or doctrine, shastra or scripture containing philosophical view or doctrine, or system of philosophy. The term darshana comes from the word drish, to see. Applied to philosophy, it has come to mean view of reality. Philosophy or darshana in India is and has remained basically a quest for what may be considered as ultimate reality or truth. Again, depending on the nature of reality, darshana may refer to perceptual observation or conceptual knowledge or intuitional experience of reality or truth. That is, it may be inspection of facts, logical enquiry, or intuitive perception. Indian philosophies turn spiritual, where reality is such that its knowledge cannot be had by physical senses, nor by the psychological sense of mind, nor by intellectual understanding, but only by intuitive perception. Reality, again, is considered as non-different from good or perfection in Indian systems. Thus, darshana has come to stand also for quest for good or perfection. This ensures that darshana is not mere theoretical knowledge. Indian philosophical systems require that philosophical doctrine is lived. This feature goes to give Indian philosophy its distinctive character of being undeniably practical. Philosophy makes sense only when lived. Thus, there are system prescribed ways of living for students of philosophy. In other words, ethical living is a requirement for knowledge of reality. Philosophies which speculate the nature of reality to be such that it requires intuitive perception, consider practice of yoga or meditation as a requirement of doing philosophy. This also makes for the fact that ethics is not a part of study of philosophy in India, but ethics is rather a condition for study of philosophy. Darshana as quest for reality and perfection gives Indian philosophy two distinct characteristics. Indian philosophy is characterized by its consideration of life being lived without knowledge as imperfect. It is also characterized by its goal of perfection or release from imperfection to be gained at the end of its study. Further, the end of study of philosophy being seeing reality or truth, it is required that a student of philosophy has basic understanding of what reality or truth is. Again, the goal of darshana being perfection, it is required that study of philosophy is taken up only by he who aims towards perfection of life or is desirous of freeing oneself from the life of imperfection. Shankara, in his commentary on Vedanta Sutras, sets down 4 conditions as essential for study of philosophy. These conditions demonstrate the aforesaid features of Indian philosophy. Number 1, knowledge of distinction between the eternal and the non-eternal. Number 2, subjugation of desire for fruits of action, either in the present life or future life. Number 3, the student is enjoined to acquire tranquility, shama, self-restraint, dhamma, renunciation, uparati, patient enduring of suffering, titiksha, peace of mind, samadhana, and faith, shraddha. The fourth condition is desire for moksha, mumukshatva. Number 1. Knowledge of distinction between the eternal and non-eternal. Now, this does not mean full knowledge, which can come only at the end, but it suggests for a metaphysical bent-up mind which does not accept all it sees to be absolutely real. Again, to be a student of philosophy, one must have the inquiring spirit, an imagination which could extract truth from apparently disconnected data. The second condition is subjugation of desire for fruits of action, either in the present life or future life. Quest for knowledge demands the renunciation of all petty desires, personal motives, and practical interest. This is required because the student is not supposed to be influenced and determined by personal desires and prejudices. True quest is supposed to embrace understanding of good as well as bad. Therefore, the philosopher should follow the movement of things without exaggerating the good or belittling the evil on behalf of some prejudices of his. The third condition is the student is enjoined to acquire tranquility, self-restraint, renunciation, patient enduring of suffering, peace of mind, and faith. A seeker of truth needs to train the mind so that it can control the body. For it is only a trained mind which controls the body that can inquire and meditate endlessly, not losing sight of the object, not allowing the purpose to be obscured by temptation. He is also required to undergo hard discipline and spurn pleasure. A student cannot be disturbed by demands of mundane life. He must have the necessary courage to lose for the highest end. A seeker needs to be ready to suffer sorrow and contempt. A student of philosophy has to see that his mind does not dissipate itself and have the perseverance to continue in his quest for ultimate knowledge. Further, knowledge is not possible without respectful belief in the knowledge being pursued. The fourth condition is desire for moksha. The metaphysically minded student of philosophy is supposed to give up all his desires and train his mind that his mind has only the one desire, the desire to reach the eternal, desire to attain perfection, desire to be free from life of imperfection. Man who with noble passion for truth strive hard to understand the mystery of the world and give utterance to it, spending laborious days and sleepless nights, are philosophers in true sense of the term. Indian philosophy or darshana thus may be said to be a study of 1. What may be considered as reality and the nature of that reality. 2. What may be considered as knowledge of reality, the nature of that knowledge, and the nature of perfection gained by knowledge. 3. What may be considered as lack of knowledge or ignorance and the nature of that ignorance. Last, it is concerned with conditions and practices required or the ways to attain knowledge of reality. Thus we see that in India, darshan or philosophy in its nature contains its scope. What we study in Indian philosophy is implied by the very nature of philosophy or what we understand by philosophy. So with that, we come to the end of the discussion on the nature and scope of philosophy. For this lecture and for study of this unit, one may follow the book Indian Philosophy Volume 1 by Radhakrishnan, and the book Structural Depth of Indian Thought by P.T. Raju. Thank you.